Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, living beneficiaries, to the show for living beneficiaries, the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network. Prepare for the most educational 60 minutes on all of radio with your host, Rick Hidalgo. The House of Hidalgo show can be followed on Twitter or Facebook by searching House of Hidalgo. Find the show on the web at www.therockofsalem.org. Sign up for the newsletter, and while you're there, take the 5-question survey to let us know what you think. The Estate Radio Network is part of the Blog Talk Radio family of networks and can be found at www.blogtalkradio.com/South Dakota DP. Join the show now by chat or call 619-639-4605. Don't forget to dial 1 to get in the queue. Here's your host, Rick Hidalgo! Hello everyone, this is Rick Hidalgo. Of course, this is the host of the House of Hidalgo show here on the Estate Radio Network. And we've got another great and wonderful show for you today. The topic today is freedom. And the topic today is we're going to deal specifically with some grand jury type issues, and we're going to get all kinds of wonderful information. I hope you have your pens and your pencils ready. Be ready to write down a lot of stuff because this is going to be really good. Before I introduce my guest, I want to remind you we do have a chat room. If you go to www.blogtalkradio.com/South Dakota DP, that's like double play, you can certainly sign up for the chat room there and participate. Ask your questions or call 619-639-4605. Press 1 to get in the queue. With all that put aside, I want to welcome my guest. It is none other than D. Thomas Murphy. Tom, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good, Rick.
I'm really excited to have you on the show today. I know that we had just a little bit of a clip of all the good stuff when we had Wanda on last week. How's Wanda doing anyway?
Well, Wanda's real hopeful and excited about an opportunity of being able to get remedy for her condition, how she's been victimized. And is there? I hear a background noise going on, reverb. Is that me?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. I don't know if you maybe could turn down the speaker a little bit or something. But but I that's good. I'm very hopeful for her as well as you go forward with the things that you're doing. Maybe give us a little bit of history, kind of recap a little bit for us.
Okay. Rick, let me get you, hold 1 second. I'm going to get a set of headphones and see if this gets rid of this problem.
Sounds good.
Okay.
While he's doing that, I would encourage you guys to check out www.nsea.us and check it out. He's got quite a website, a lot of great information.
Yeah, no, that's let me put myself close to the mic. Did that stop it?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I can hear myself on your side.
Would I?
Here. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You go ahead, and what I'll do is I don't have a lot to say anyway, Tom. I'm interviewing you, so you go ahead with yours, and I'll mute myself while you talk.
Oh, okay, Rick. If that'll do it, buddy.
Yeah, that's great. Go ahead and give us some background.
Okay, I will, but there's several different places that I could start. I'm trying to determine where you would want to go. I mean, we've developed an entire system to to enable everyone everywhere to gain remedy, to take action against these industrial terrorists that have come in and stolen our country from us. They've converted all of our resources into wastelands. They've toxified all of our drinking water resources. Everybody needs to go check out that New York Times series that they did on toxic waters about a year ago, and where they did a complete comprehensive test on every drinking water resource, purveyor in the entire United States of America, and determined that every one of them are discharging toxic pollutants that are mandated to be contained and controlled at each individual source, as defined in the Federal Water Pollution Control Act, the Public Law 92-500, the amendment of 1972 that basically was Section 1 that replaced Section 2 in its entirety. Now, Section 2 was the original Federal Water Pollution Control Act of 1948, and that mandated public sewers. And the Federal Water Pollution Control Act Amendment of 1972 mandated that to connect to a public sewer without providing a technology at your home or business or etc. As of July 1, 1973, according to Section, let's see, I think it was 510 F, it defined it became an unlawful act to not implement at-source control technology to contain and control the toxic pollutants that were listed as required by Section 307A to be, there were 65 of them that right now you can go see them on the US EPA website, and it's basically there's 65 there, and any source that would be a source of any one of those pollutants has to comply. It's mandated to comply with 306, Section 306, which is the National Standards of Performance. The law, it defines what's required to be the standard of performance is, in fact, the best available demonstrated control technology currently available, as defined in Section 306. It's the bad cat, is what we call it in the industry, bad cat. That's the best available. No, it's not the second one, third. It's mandated by that public health code to be specified by name, brand, or equal. And that's been congressionally mandated since they adopted the Clean Water Act on October 18th, 1972. Nixon immediately vetoed that one because he's a bar member, and the bar member came over here and organized the government structure. The bar members are the ones that started all this. So, and they are in fact the United States wastewater industry that organized, came over here from the London Guild as they all got together, because it's big business. It's make a lot of money. It's huge profits, so they came over to monopolize the largest industry in the world, which is the United States wastewater industry. They do $500 billion a year, and it's been unlawful since they were supposed. The Federal Water Pollution Control Act mandated that public sewers were to be eliminated. Use of public sewers were to be eliminated by 1985. That was the first goal to be achieved, as defined in the Federal Water Pollution Control Act. That was in Section 2. That was Section 101 of Section 2, the amendment, and it mandated by 1985 all unlawful discharge of pollutants into navigable waters, which are waters of the United States. You say it whichever way you want to say it, because they got rules that say it's all theirs. So they claim rights and responsibility. So, and then people say, who are they?
Right.
And I hear they a lot. And they we have defined as being the United States wastewater management utility industry. They are the lawyers, the bar members. They are the president. They are all agents of the Crown and the Vatican. The Vatican owns the wastewater industry. The Crown owns the United States utility. It's a utility transferred through the United States, through Washington, D.C. It's a wonderful thing that now we know who they are, and that the Pope executed the letter on July 11th, declaring that they are criminals. In fact, all corporations, to put it plain, any corporation has been construed by the Pope to be associated and a member of the criminal enterprise that would be construed as a Roman curia. And so, in fact, that's what they are. In fact, that's what they are, Rick. You got anything you want me to address specifically?
Well, yeah, Tom, I appreciate that. I've been studying this entire canon law thing for quite some time now, and I have to totally agree with you. The Roman Curie, the canon law, commercial law, it's all kind of the same baby in the same bathwater. And I do have a question. Indubitably, what's going to happen is somebody's going to listen to this conversation we're having, and they're going to say, well, Tom, you know what makes this any different from any other statutory law that they don't follow themselves already? You know, what separates this? Well,
what separates it is the fact that when Nixon vetoed it, the Congress overrode his veto with, I think, 3/4 majority to vote, something like that. Anyway, it was enough to make it a congressional mandate and a strict liability statute, to where it's kind of like rape is the other strict liability statute. You did it or you didn't, and it's with this, it's a strict liability statute. In other words, you are guilty if you're not in compliance. You can't prove that you're in compliance. You're guilty, because the Clean Water Act applies to owners and or operators. That's a public law, so it only applies to public officials, so-called public officials, but basically those who took an oath of office. Whether actually took the oath of office or not, they took an oath of office to uphold or whatever the Constitution. You know what? And they are impersonating and acting like they're doing it. So if they're acting like they're in the office, then they're going to have to face the penalty that comes with violating the law when you're in office. You know what I mean? I mean, impersonating is the first ground of deception, and that's what they've done, because we don't have a lawful individual in office right now. So anyway, and Kennedy knew that, because Kennedy is the creator of and the founder of these environmental laws. He was the one that caused it to happen, and because he knew that to control it, he knew who was in control. He knew who these guys were. They were the wastewater industry, and all the money they're making, and that's what the money they're using to lobby these laws against us. That's to their advantage, and so he knew that, and he knew they had to be stopped. And the way they had to be stopped was the currency issue had to be dealt with, and of course the people had to take back control of their water. Because to control the population, all you have to do is control the water, and you control the water. Once you control the water, you control the population. So they're not only controlling the water, but they're also poisoning water with these 65 toxic pollutants that are required to be maintained and controlled at the source. And they're not doing it. And the ironic part about it is, if just one of those toxins get by that are on that list, if just one of them are being discharged, they're guilty of the crime. So the fact that every public drinking water supply purveyor right now is discharging at least 5 on the list, I guarantee you, at least on a minimum 5. That's what it says. You can see for yourself on the on that. Go Google that series of toxic waters done by New York Times, and there you go. There's the proof. And they're being allowed to get away with it.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
And the reason, now then that leads us up to the difference. If we can get the echo gone. Of course, I don't mind saying it twice, but that's okay. So what happened was, we've been fighting these guys, and I've come along and I've known because of being in the industry since '72, the wastewater industry, I knew that the same players that are out here playing government are the same players in the wastewater industry at those big Water Environment Federation conventions, because that's where the big money. That's 40% of their revenues generated from these unlawful municipal sewer, and sewer-related projects. So this is a national average. So you see why they don't want to let go of it. You see, here's the deal: if they comply, and if they apply the at-source control, the bad cat, as we just described earlier, if they comply with the law and everyone is required to have a bad cat, then they don't get any more sewer revenue, because they themselves have their own ordinances that say any treated water belongs to who owns the device that treated it. So that's how they've been making water, selling their sewer effluent to parks and golf courses and stuff like that. So that covers that establishes the fact it's a resource of value, and as a resource of value, they can charge for it. And that's not going to work when the individual buildings have to provide their own treatment and cannot discharge off of that property where the waste was generated without it being treated to the highest level possible, utilizing best available technology. So what this gets to is the fact that every one of them, and we have a complete investigative report, a grand jury investigative report for the International Common Law Court of Justice. We have identified every lawful discharge within North America. And I can tell you, as a witness firsthand, not a single public official, so-called government entity, is in compliance, is operating in compliance. Now, what does that mean? Well, that, number one, means that you have to have another court besides their court to be able to prosecute them for committing a crime, because their courts are the administrative agencies for the United States wastewater utility management industry. It's established to protect the empires, the wastewater empire, the insurance empire, their pharmaceutical empire, and their healthcare empire. Those are the predominant empires that they protect, and all of the last three operate as a result of the first one being maintained, and that is the unlawful discharge, because that's how they're poisoning the waters to make everybody sick, to kill us. They have right now, our casualty rate just in cancer is about 45,000 per month that they're killing, utilizing these listed chemical, biological weapons of mass destruction most people call home, work, Any building having a toilet in it. Any building having a toilet. Every time you touch a toilet, flush a toilet, think of that as a trigger of a chemical biological weapon of mass destruction that's responsible for poisoning all of our drinking waters. And you don't know it, but you're subject, and you are doing it for lack of knowledge. Why do you have lack of knowledge? Because you're not getting taken care of by the government who you're relying on to take care of you. They happen not to be the government. They happen to be the United States wastewater industry. And they're here to kill, steal, and destroy you and make huge money on these empires for the Vatican, the Crown. That's just their whole intent. It's Agenda 21. And it's been going for a long time, and it's...
Hey, Tom.
Oh. Go ahead, Rick.
Hey, Tom, I think it's kind of curious what, if you take all the pieces that you're exposing here and you put them together, you can start to paint the big picture. First of all, by their own statutory code, they have to be bar attorneys in order to have a position in a seat as a judge or a justice. So they're literally administering their own trust, which I'm assuming that this wastewater corporation is just a ginormous trust, and so they're administering then their own trust, which is totally bogus. How do you? I mean, you're not fulfilling any of the conditions of a true trust by administering your own trust, because it just doesn't make any sense. But I guess they get away with it because nobody really puts all the pieces together.
Well, that's a good point, and that's the next point I need to make, Rick. You're right on point. Exactly what has to happen, and that's the fact that what happened. So when Congress overrode Nixon's veto, well, Nixon, being the bar attorney and protect the bar's empire, wastewater empire, he then put the bar in control of all courts.
Right.
That's why, unless you're a member of the bar, you don't sit on the bench, unless you're a member of the bar. And if you're a member of the bar, then basically what that means is you agree that the rule of the game is you protect our empires at all costs.
Yes.
And that's what these judges are doing. And there's several empires going on. The securitization, the monetization of the tickets, creating tickets for profits, passing down profits on the income of the tickets to the cops writing the tickets. Everybody's getting a share. I mean, it's a mass industrial, tyrannical, racketeer influence, corrupt organization. I mean, I don't know. Let me just sum it up here and after. Enemy of the United States, of the people of the United States of America. They are our enemy. If they are a member of a corporation, they're associated by an association, in fact, is any member or employee of a private corporation.
Yes. Hey, Tom, are you familiar with the Trading with the Enemies Act?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I just think it's curious that their presumption in their statutory / maritime courtroom, their presumption is that we're enemies of the state, and here they go really. It's all just turned totally upside down, man. This is crazy stuff.
I know, Rick. I know. So, and here I come into this, and of course I know what I know, and and these guys have been after me, chasing me. I'm having to flee because I developed this technology, and they maybe I didn't. Did I mention the technology yet?
No, no, you haven't. Why don't you go ahead and explain to us what you were able to come up with?
Oh, okay. The reason I'm where I'm at now is because these guys have been terrorizing me. I've got felonies I'm after that they've brought against me, and I've been fighting these in court. In 3 years on these multiple felonies, they're trying to put me in prison. God's just kept me out of here. But the main reason that they're coming after me is because I explained to you they are the wastewater industry, and in my career was a wastewater industry. But in 1989, I developed a technology that transformed, that connected like a septic tank. You know, like you buy a septic tank, you put this there instead of a septic tank, and it's called the Reclamator, and you can go see about it on reclamator.com, RECLAMATOR.com, just like Terminator, and but Reclamator because it reclaims water, and I went on to get 9 patents, U.S. patents and 40 international patents through the 90s. I did over 100 projects internationally utilizing this technology that I developed, and it's did systems from 25 million gallons a day down into a single family dwelling. Well, I had that technology tested by the National Sanitation Foundation in Ann Arbor, Michigan in 1994. When they completed that 8-month test, at the end of the test, there were 2 things that really stand out in regard to this basic biological process technology that we've developed. One of only 3 that exist, and the 2 others are over 100 years old. Is that it biologically transforms the physical, chemical, biological integrity of the water back up to a pH level of 7.5 to 8, which is healthy state water, and it started out acidic. And secondly, it completely eliminated nitrosamine toxic discharges, which is number 50 of the US EPA toxic pollutant list. And it completely eliminated it. It produced water quality water. From the first drop that comes out of it is water quality water, non-carcinogenic.
Wow.
And it's suitable for to retrofit every one of their toxic generating public sewer plants right now. And I developed it, fortunately, the technology is developed to where it can retrofit any basin of water, no matter how inferior that water is. We can completely retrofit that to provide tertiary treatment of that water, of that sewer plant. So anyway, they shut me down and boycotted me. In 1995, when the report went out to the world from the National Sanitation Foundation, NSF International, they call themselves right now, the 3rd largest testing laboratory in the world, the 1st largest third-party testing laboratory. I mean, they are the number 1. They're the UL of the water and sanitation industry.
Sure.
So that test back in the early 90s. So they're pretty high dollar, but the results of the test are gold. And so as soon as we completed the test and the world was notified, that's when the US EPA had to boycott our business and shut us down entirely. We'd done about 100 projects internationally, and so we did a lot of projects. But anyway, they shut me down cold turkey. Well, then I just took the technology and figured if I developed a way for it to keep drinking water standards, well, then they had no control. So I went on to develop the technology to where it produces pure, potable, healthy, healing water. And that's proven. You can see evidence of that particular plant that proved that. We had testing done by the public drinking water supply, of the sink. The lab came out and took samples of the sink and samples of the reclamator, and of course the reclamator was far superior. And then from that point on, that's when they've been on after me like kind of like the the fugitive, except just in the other way around.
Right. I had one thought that came to mind before we take a quick little break here, and then we'll come back and talk about your court. But I wanted to make this interesting point because, they allow us to fight back a little bit, but they keep us dumbed down so we don't see the big picture. Like, for instance, there's this big emphasis on fluoride in the water. So everybody comes after fluoride thinking, okay, we just knock fluoride out of the water, we'll be, this percentage better. But really they're just allowing us to kind of come after a little piece, aren't they?
Oh yeah, fluoride is nothing. I don't even know if fluoride's on that list, but there are those toxins in that water that people never have even heard of before that are on that list, and they're in every public drinking water supply, and we've identified the harm they do to the body. So we have a complete research and analysis and report on each one of them. So I guarantee you they're very bad. They're very bad for you, and our provision, and we'll talk about that in regard to the court and our remedy, is real big. And everyone gets $1 million out of this deal.
All right, that's a good leeway to the break. We'll have to wait till the other side to hear about that. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes. Do you need an experienced editor to look over your short story, script, or novel? Do you need help building a platform or self-publishing your book? Are you on the cusp of realizing your dream, but you need someone to help you with those few extra steps? Are you a business in need of an established copy editor or copywriter? Dan O'Brien has more than a decade of experience in writing and publishing, and his rates are flexible. All that matters to Dan is the integrity of your artistic vision, and Dan can help you create the highest quality work possible. Please email Dan today at amalgamconsulting@gmail.com or visit his website, www.amalgamconsulting.com. That's AMALGAM consulting.com. Write Dan today. Start your dreams tomorrow. Do you have hopes, dreams, and goals, but don't know how to reach them? Do you wonder how you could do differently to achieve greater success at home or at work? Do you feel like something is holding you back from enjoying your life to the fullest? Are you fed up with status quo and ready for real and lasting life change? Are you wanting to start a business or expand an existing one? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then you are ready for life coaching with Mr. Attitude. Mr. Attitude will stretch and grow you and take your life to a whole new level of success by equipping you with the tools to help you to accomplish more in less time, get and keep your priorities in line, gain greater happiness and joy, face your fears, plan for success, be more assertive and confident, overcome negative stress, deal with negative thinking, set goals you will achieve, and more. Mr. Attitude specializes in results producing. Life strategy coaching for the personal side of your life, small business coaching for those who want to start a small business or build a stronger small business, train the trainer coaching for those who aspire to become a motivational professional speaker. Call today and reserve your appointment with greater success. 605-450-1955. That's 605-450-1955. Or email Bob at MrAttitudespeaks.com. That's MrAttitudespeaks.com. Mr. Attitude is committed to your success. All right, this is Rick Hidalgo. We are back on the State Radio Network. This is the House of Hidalgo show, and today we're on with D. Thomas Murphy of NSEA And I'm thinking about changing the title of this particular segment to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So you take it from here, D.
That's great, Rick. I know. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I used to watch that show growing up.
Yeah.
And, I was born in 1948, the year that the first Federal Water Pollution Control Act was adopted, and went into the business in 1972, just as a side note. But anyway, it's kind of funny. Used to watch that show and say, man, I'd like to be able to do that. And so literally that's what we've done, is in conjunction with the International Contingency Plan that we've prepared as a part of our negotiations on the International Common Law Court side with the Pope. Anyway, we're close, Rick. We're really close. It's exciting what's happening right now. But I used to watch that giveaway The Millionaire, and I used to think, wow, that'd be so cool. And then I got to live the lifestyle of having that as a result of success in this wastewater industry. And so I got to experience it. So God's just allowed for me to experience everything, provide the technology, and now He's enabled me to develop the system that will enable the people to gain back control of their country. And all they have to do is get out of the system. If you're a registered voter, you've got to get out of the system. That's priority. That is a priority of your life. An emphasis on life. Got to get out of the system. Judge Dale says that is not voter registration. Your vote has no influence in who's elected. And he said that is nothing but slave registration. And that's coming from a retired judge. So anyway, I tell you that, and after you do that, then you have a duty. Once you take a stand and step out, we recognize that. And we're getting wonderful response too, by the way, from the counties. The counties now are not only removing us from the voter registration, they're purging us from the system, which is excellent. And now we have a standard to demand that on every one of our requests, because all of us have a right to full faith and credit. And that means full faith and credit means that we have full faith and credit rights to anything anybody else gets lawfully. We're entitled to the same. So that's good there. But being a voter is a bad thing. You got to get out of it. It's not a good thing, and don't be proud about it. They have lied to you. They have deceived you into being a proud registered voter for the United States, and that is not the United States of America de jure. That is the corporation. They are a corporation. The Superior Court is a corporation. You can view all the agencies in Washington, D.C. that are anybody that matters, except the four more that are going out here. All have the DUNS numbers on them. These are all the notices that we noticed of the convening of the the commissioning of the International Common Law Court of Justice here in America.
Yes, sir.
As an environmental court. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the court. So here I had the law. I knew the law, but I couldn't get any justice in over 20 actions in these other courts. And then later I came to learn that they are the wastewater industry. So we knew we had to have another court. And, we've tried to go in and do our paperwork in such a manner that it is a Article 3 court, and as provided for in the Federal Water Pollution Control Act, and the United States corporate courts, United States District Court, they would steal the suit, take control of it, and that would be it. So we had to have another court. And lo and behold, just not too long ago, very recent, I'm going with one of my researchers, I'm going down through the Federal Water Pollution Control Act, the actual congressional enactment. And we continued past the actual, what they call the Water Pollution Control Act. We passed Section 2 and went on down and discovered that Section 7 gave us international jurisdiction. And Section 9 gave us the authority of a court separate than the United States courts in order to handle environmental matters. Well, that's the court of the people, because there are only two real courts as far as jurisdiction and authority. One is inferior, one is superior. So if it's a federal court, which means a corporate court, it is an inferior court.
Yes.
If it is a court of the people, it is a superior court. And those are the two different jurisdictions. And people argue jurisdictions all the time. Well, you don't have any jurisdiction unless you have a court. People talk about the grand jury movement. Everybody, and like John Darish, he's doing a wonderful job getting people excited about being a grand juror, but they're a registered voter. And as a registered voter, you are construed as a citizen of the United States. You are not recognized as having any status and standing as an American national. You are subject to the corporation, the beast.
Yes.
Another reason to quickly get out of it. And that's just the flip of the flop. As soon as you get out of it, go to nsea.us and let them show you how to take a stand as your new status and standing as an American national, and how the real say in how government is run, and that is as being a part of the independent grand jury. Have an international standing, the grand jury that has authority in the International Common Law Court of Justice. It's an awesome opportunity, folks, and we already have this boat's already going. It's already left. It's heading down there, and we've got enough. We're not. What I'm saying is, we don't need anything else in order to carry through and succeed here. But here's the sad part about it is you folks that don't wake up real quick are going to miss the boat, and you're going to be rounded up and put on another boat. Because if you are one of their slaves, they have authority over you. I have people call me occasionally and telling me their troubles, and I ask them, "Are you a registered voter?" And they said, "Yeah, I'm real proud of it." I said, "Well, then nothing I can do to help you, because you have no rights. You only have privileges that are provided you by the government that you are subject to as a citizen of the United States, which you declared as your status and standing inferior when you signed up to be a board of director for their private corporation." And that's all that is.
Right.
So we see this court, and while environmental court, provisions for an environmental court by Congress, Rick, I'd never seen that before. And I knew this Clean Water Act Section 2 like the back of my hand. But I had never taken a look at the congressional enactment, which I urge everyone to go look at. It's you can just Google, put in PDF, then put public law 90, or no, actually put clean water, and then public law 92-500. Try it like that. Either vice versa. One of those ways, it'll come up right on the top of your search. And then you'll have a PDF of the congressional enactment. And you can search it if you need to search it, just hit Control F on your computer, and a little box will come up, and you can search that any way you want to. But it's beautiful. It's a congressional enactment in living color. And I say living color because it does have a certification type of thing at the bottom of the left page. One of those. So, but that, okay, now let's talk about that. Why is that so good for me? What can it do for me? Well, here's the deal. Every one of your public servants are operating in violation of that. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means every one of them is in violation of at least 2 mandated and maybe 5 total, but guaranteed 2 mandated violations that they're mandated to comply with 306 and they're mandated to comply with 307A. And if they're not in compliance with those 2, which they aren't, that represents $2.2 billion. Why is it so much money? Well, it's calculated from the deadline for compliance, which is July 1, 1977, as defined in Section 301B. And it's calculated at $25,000 per day, which is provided for in Section 309C. And it also includes RICO because we've already demonstrated that in our previous actions. We have concluded RICO because our racketeer influence corrupt organization working together. They're corporations. That's association in fact. They're all corporations.
Mafia.
You know? And so they're unlawfully guilty of those. So that right there equates to times 3 is $75,000 per day per violation. But it's per day, and it equates to, if you do the math, at $1,095,000,000 in civil damages as provided for in the act itself. So.
And that's per person, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's per person. Per person, correct. And so, due to the fact that it provides for such huge damages, and also it provides for, if it's a legal fiction, it's entitled to $1 million in criminal penalties. $1 million. So I thought to myself, well, with this court, I can present a method by which everyone can claim damages due to the fact that we've all been victimized. Today, we get up, we shower in this filthy, toxic water. It looks pretty and clean. Well, it doesn't take much to make water clean. You can make water clean, look pretty and clean and pure, just by dribbling it down through dirt. It doesn't take much to make it look clean. But that's deceptive, because you can't see what's really in it.
Right.
And so what happens here is the fact that now we've got these guys that are terrorizing us, and they're all cocky because they've been in control of their own courts for all this time. So they've got to the point like a spoiled child that doesn't have to answer for any wrongs that it does. And now Obama and his administration are getting completely out of hand. I mean, you know, come on. Government ordering hollow points. Billions of hollow points.
Right.
I mean, come on. I mean, they're beating up people. The cops, they're hiring trained terrorists that they trained overseas. They're hiring as cops, peace officers. They're trained terrorists. Nothing against them. They don't know. They're trained. But the results are people are getting the crap beat out of them. People are getting killed. I saw a man in California get beat to death by 9 cops in Bakersfield. A father with handcuffs on, beat him to death. People have to wake up. This isn't TV, folks. This is reality. They've dumbed us down to where we just are passive and complacent with this absolute tyranny. We've become numb to it.
Yes.
It's just, people got to wake up. They better wake up. The train is coming. The train is coming.
Right. Yeah, that's good stuff, Tom. Very, very good stuff. So, where do you, how recent? I know I've seen some things. Obviously, you're in the process of noticing. Is that what's going on now?
Right, Rick. Yeah, we've have so far noticed close to 15 different agencies in Washington, D.C. I think most of them are posted on the NSEA website, which National Standards Enforcement Agency is what that stands for. But the NSEA website, nsea.us, and you can go to Public Notice, or Public Notices tab. I don't know which one it is. It's Public Notice, I believe. And you can see each one of these notices that has been hand-delivered, hand-served, followed up with affidavit and notary, witness of the service in Washington, D.C. And so those will come back, and when they get back, then the documents to the Pope and the Attorney General of the Queen, copies of that will be forwarded to them. So they'll be put on notice that there's a new court in town. And this court has international single and final jurisdiction because it has to do with public health and welfare.
Tom, is this a court of record?
This is an ecclesiastical common law court of record.
Excellent.
Yes. It's the highest authority known to man. The authority comes under Genesis 1:26. From my God.
So you might then say that you're in original jurisdiction.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick, very good. Original jurisdiction.
Excellent. This is exciting to hear, Tom. I'm glad to hear this. So tell us how the grand jury's coming.
Oh, we have quite a few in the pool now. And people are just kind of waking up and getting excited about it and learning about it. And now we have a lot of motivation for folks to get on board and get clean. Just get clean. Wash yourself of this black, nasty tyranny being associated with it. Get out of the United States. Don't be associated with them. Get clean and come on over to the side of the people. And the way it's working is when they do that, number one, they qualify to bring their cases before the grand jury. Citizens don't qualify because citizens don't have grand jury rights. If they're registered voters, they don't have grand jury rights. Grand jury rights come from the Bill of Rights Amendment, 13 articles. And they don't have any entitlement to the Bill of Rights Amendment rights. They don't have rights. They have only privileges. And I keep trying to pound that in because if they think they got rights, they're a sovereign citizen. And they're going to get arrested and put in prison. Because you don't come up and suggest that you have any rights at all when you have a master. It just doesn't work like that. So that's the number one reason you got to get out. And then you come over and sign up for the grand jury. We have what's called page 9. and it's posted on the website also, page 9. And page 9 is of a declaration, which I think is on there somewhere. We have a couple of different ones. We're just doing one also, the previous 8 pages, and this one that we're going to be doing is, where we've already done it, but it's about to be sent and officialized, is it's going to go to the Pontiff Pope Francis in response to his letter, noticing him of the commissioning of the environmental court, and basically we're moving in the direction to where he's going to cover all the costs to clean up these messes that his priests have caused. And I think that's really going to be to the benefit of the people, because I don't see any reason why he wouldn't want to enter into a peace treaty and do that. And by doing that, he'll restore not only public health in general, globally, where we have 6,000 people are dying every day for lack of access to clean drinking water conditions, 4,000 of which are children. And all that can be stopped. We have the technology, we have the methods, we have everything to do it. We have the law. And he should have the desire. I believe the pressure is on him so much right now that he'll be motivated to act in the interest of the people and their public health and welfare.
I believe you're right, Tom. I believe you're right. With groups like Reverend Kevin Annett, who I've had on this show a couple times, who I work with as well, and with groups like Divine Province out there, it's I'm telling you, there's a lot of pressure. Absolutely.
Right. It is, and even what Kevin and the International Common Law Court were missing was they didn't have the environmental aspect. In order to see the environmental aspect, the wonderful thing about this court, it being an environmental court, and also being a court of the people, the Supreme Court of the people, it enables us to appoint marshals. As a Supreme Court, the people have the authority to appoint their own marshals.
So you got your enforcement.
Correct.
Good stuff. Good stuff, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people want to help out in that respect too. So they're kind of known as militias around the country, but we have a warrant of authority where they become appointed as a marshal. But in order to do that, they have to get out of the system. They have to clean themselves. And they then, when they execute page 9, which you can see on our site, I think it's under the America's Remedy tab. America's Remedy-Court, I think is what it is now.
Yes, it is.
And you can see that page 9 there, and you have the option to check the box where you would like to become a marshal or not. But it's to appointment. You have to be appointed by the court.
Well, Tom, I got to ask you a question here. Once you've filled out that form, it calls for 2 witnesses on that form. I'm assuming that they need to be American nationals as well. Where do you find those guys?
Well, you have to find them.
Yeah.
You have to find them because it doesn't do any good to get witnessed by a dead man.
Yeah.
So we also have our ID badges. Once we get to that point, we've got our ID badges, and that will keep you out of a lot of trouble.
Absolutely. So Tom, here's I'm going to give you an opportunity here to say kind of a final word, whatever you'd like to say to the people. Go ahead.
Well, I would suggest that you look for a way that you can participate and in reclaiming your country, and stop watching TV.
That's a good answer. Back to kind of President Kennedy's speech a little bit there. Yeah. So I appreciate you coming on, Tom. It's been a blast. You're a great guest, and definitely keep us informed of what's going on. And I'll update the people too. As I see updates coming, I'll bring them forth on this particular radio show. So I just thank you again, Tom.
You betcha, Rick. I appreciate it.
So for D. Thomas Murphy, this is Rick Hidalgo. This has been another episode of the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network. And God bless people. You stay safe and get out of that beast.